lead singer named Justin Moore.
We don't do a whole lot of bullshitting up here. We just get up here and play country music. Hey guys, today's podcast is sponsored by Bobcat Company. Check them out at bobcat.com.
What's up, everybody? Justin Moore here. Welcome back into the Justin Moore podcast. I'm here along with my brother from another mother, JR the Handler, and we looking forward to a good show today. We got a guest, a good guest, Parker McCollum. Is going to come on and chat with us, and we'll see what he's been up to and what he's got coming up. Next year maybe touring and all that good stuff. So
yeah,
what's up, JR?
Hey, brother. Yeah, I was actually, before we got on today, I was outside doing some yard work 'cause it finally quit raining, and I listened to his whole new record all the way through like twice. Man, what a great record! I'm gonna go back. I've heard some of his earlier stuff, but I need to go back and dig in. But yeah, I love it. I'm all about it. I haven't met him yet. You met him at Tracy's golf tournament, but I hadn't met him yet.
Yeah.
But I know Cody likes his stuff, and I said that last week about podcasts. Somebody was asking me, I hadn't listened to anything this year. I ain't done nothing this year. So
I know.
But I did enjoy listening to that today, and I'm looking forward to talking with him. Sounds like a cool cat, and I love the sound. So I think it's going to be a fun show today.
I know he grew up just north of Houston, and so I'm curious, if he is an Astros fan. Because you and I are both Braves fans and played in the World Series, so I'm curious to see where his alliance is, where they are with football. And I think he went to Texas to school, so I guess he's a Longhorn fan. I guess I don't know.
We're about to find out.
All that
for sure.
Stuff.
I know. As we record today, this will be season 3, episode 35 of the Justin Moore podcast. Hashtag Justin Moore podcast. But we're recording today on Tuesday the 26th. Hopefully this will drop later this week, the 28th, before we go to Hanover, Maryland to play a show this Friday night. But last night, being Monday Night Football, I got to watch it home because we got to get off the road, got to come home Sunday. And last night, my Saints, not a pretty game, but an interesting game, a fun game, a low-scoring event, and the Saints pulled it out, beat the Seahawks. Seahawks 0-3 or 0-4 at home for the first time since the early 90s. Interesting.
Yeah, them not having Russell Wilson is killing them,
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about one of the top quarterbacks in the league, and my Steelers played them last week, and, I mean, they had a chance to win, but Geno Smith, who's been in the league what seems like, I don't know, 40 years now.
You're right. He was in college when I was.
Playing quarterback for him, and he fumbled in overtime for us to go win the game. But it just point being, like, obviously they missed their QB for sure.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk to Parker about the rest of the games and where his alliances lie. But I know for us, Bama and Arkansas both took care of business weekend. Braves going to the World Series. Pretty good weekend of sports for you and I and most of our camp.
Yeah, especially for you guys beating Tennessee. I know that's a rivalry game, so always good to take care of business during those.
15 in a row, baby.
Good night.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But, we had a get-right game, I would call it. We've had a rough 3-game stretch here where, really only played bad in one game, but just didn't come up with the wins those 3 weeks. And we put it on Arkansas Pine Bluff, and I mean we needed that, and then now we have a bye week, so I think it was good timing for us because we were one of the later teams to get a bye, and we played a pretty damn difficult schedule to this point. But to be 5-3, if you'd have told me at the beginning of the year that, I'd have probably been happy. Looking back now, there's couple more games that we could have. I don't want to say we should have won, but certainly could have. So you could be looking at a really special year. But 5-3, and a stretch of winnable games to close out the year for us, for sure. But, yeah, our Braves is a big story for you and I. I mean,
huge.
Just pretty neat to see. I think it's been since '99, so we're looking at 22 years since we've been in the World Series, and haven't won one since '95. So, and they're up against it, man. They've got this Astros team's really good. They can flat hit the ball and score runs, and so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Should be a good one, and I know, like I said earlier, most everybody in our outfit's Braves fans, so we've got a full tribe over there, and it's going to be a good one. But, hey, why don't we take a quick little break right now before we have Parker come on? We'll go ahead and get a moment in there for our fine sponsors and partners here. But everyone remember to go to justinmooremusic.com. You can check out all the tour dates we've got coming up. You can find merchandise, music, all that fun stuff, links to all the show stuff. So check that out. Use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast when you're interacting with us on social media. And hang out, stay tuned, and we'll be right back here shortly on the Justin Moore Podcast.
I want to give a quick shout out to Bobcat Company, who really does make a job, any job that is, easier. They got everything from skid steers to compact tractors, utility vehicles, zero-turn mowers, and everything in between. Their products are designed to make your lives easier. I like that. Which means spending more time with your family and doing the other fun things you love. Y'all know how big of a deal that is to me. Make sure you visit bobcat.com to see what products might be a good fit for your property. Hey, what's up, guys? Justin Moore here. I want to remind everyone out there listening that my wife Kate has an awesome children's clothing boutique in downtown Benton, Arkansas. It's Central Arkansas. So if you're local, come see us at 119 West South Street in downtown historic Benton, Arkansas. Again, that's 119 West South Street in Benton, Arkansas. And if you're not local, we ship everywhere. So you can find us at shopthislittlepiggy.com and see all that we have to offer, all that my wife Kate has to offer, I should say. Facebook, you can find us at Shop This Little Piggy AR. And Instagram, you can find us at Shop This Little Piggy AR. But check us out. It's called This Little Piggy. And see what we got to offer. ShopThisLittlePiggy.com.
Hi, y'all. This is Brandon Bing, singer-songwriter and whiskey maker. You're tuning into the Justin Moore Podcast. Visit EasyLiquor.com to grab your bottle of Bangtail Whiskey and join the Blue Collar Swaller family today. Follow us on all socials at Bangtail Whiskey for more news and updates. Now pour Jigger and take this a second ride with us.
Hey, gang. As y'all have heard, the Justin Moore Podcast has recently teamed up with Wrangler. Wrangler has been an icon in authentic American style around the world for more than 70 years. With a rich legacy rooted in the American West, Wrangler commits to offering unmatched quality and timeless design. As y'all have heard me and Justin talk about on here, George Strait and Alan Jackson, they're Wranglers. We wear Wranglers too. Its collections are also for men and women, children, to look and feel great, inspiring those who wear them to be strong and ready for life every day. Wrangler is available in retail stores worldwide, including brand flagship stores in Denver and Dallas, department stores, mass market retailers, specialty shops, Western outfitters, and online. For more information, visit Wrangler.com. And you know you've heard it here, and you've seen it on stage, the Justin Moore Podcast. Dang glad to be partnered up with Wrangler because we're big fans and have been for a long, long time. Can't go wrong with a nice pair of Wranglers, y'all. I wear the Wrangler Retro. Justin wears the black one some. It's my go-to. I get mine at Academy. So if you're around an Academy or just about anywhere, you can get you a pair of Wranglers, whether you want to look like George Strait, or you want to look like JM, or you want to look like me. You can get you some Wranglers, and you can do that. Whether you're in North California or South Alabama or Montana, Texas, Ohio, Wyoming, wherever, a pair of Wranglers will get the job done. Long live Cowboys and Plowboys. For more information, visit Wrangler.com. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Justin Moore Podcast. I know I mentioned right before we took that break to go on Justin's website and make sure to look at all the dates we've got coming up for the rest of the year. But I want everybody to know, too, here soon on the next few episodes, I'm going to start dropping some of the dates I know we've booked for next year. And I don't know for sure if they're even announced. I'm not sure if you can get tickets yet. And I don't know if we're even supposed to announce it. But, hey, we're going to get it because that's the kind of classified information you get here on the Justin Moore podcast. So I'm just going to do it until somebody tells me not to, because I want you listeners to make sure you get those tickets as soon as they drop. So you can get the right seat. Front row or don't go. You know what I mean? So anyway,
no doubt.
it's going to be a good rest of the year. So we look forward to seeing about on the road, and we're going to get dialed up here now with Mr. Parker McCollum. Hang tight, and we're going to get him on the Zoom machine. There's a picture of him. He's on stage playing a guitar. There he is.
What's
man.
up?
What's up?
Hey,
What's
buddy.
up, buddy?
Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can. You got us?
Does everything look and sound up to par?
For this podcast, brother, it's above and beyond already.
Yeah, this is
All right, I'll take it.
Parker, this is the least professional thing you're ever going to do in your career.
That sounds like something that I would put together.
Well, officially welcome to the Justin Moore podcast. Where you at right now, Parker?
Man, I just landed in Houston. I'm in Conroe right now, my hometown, going to Game 1 of the World Series tonight. So
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. I was actually going to ask you because I know you grew up just north of Houston, so I'm assuming you're a Stros fan.
to say the least.
Oh, look
so,
you there.
Just so you know, like we're both huge Braves fans because it was kind of the team of the South when we were growing up, you know. In Arkansas and Alabama, where we're from, obviously we don't have pro teams, so that was back when they had, you know, Maddox and Glavine and Smoltz and Avery and that whole staff, and and they were there were two teams you could watch every day: the Cubs on WGN. You could watch every day where I'm from, and I was not going to root for the Cubs. And then you had the Braves on TBS, so I just became a huge Braves fan. And JR's kind of the same way, so that's awesome. You're getting to go, man. Have you been to a World Series game?
You know, the show's been to the World Series 3 times in this will be the 3rd time in 5 years, and I've played a show every single night of the series of the World Series game in Houston. So when I found out before we even won the conference series against the Red Sox, I was pulling up the World Series schedule and I was like, I could go to Game 1 Tuesday night. I already have previous commitments. Yeah, and so I was like trying to buy. I was like, can you buy tickets before they even know who they're playing? But if Dodgers would have won, Game 1 would have been in LA. So it's I don't know.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
My bass player is like, he's from Macon, Georgia. He is the biggest Braves fan. Watches them on his phone all the time on the bus when we're on the road during the regular season. And so he's on his way here right now from Austin, and he'll I'm going to take him to the game. So I told him, like, at the All-Star break, I said, the Stros and Braves ever play in the World Series, I'll buy us, you know, some badass seats and some good tickets, and we'll go to a game. And then here we are 3 months later, they're playing. I'm like, what are the damn odds?
That's awesome. Yeah,
y'all don't get to fighting.
Yeah, it's not real surprising that y'all are there. I think it is a little surprising for Braves. I think they won 88 games in the regular season, and I'm a baseball fanatic. It's my favorite sport. I coach all my girls in softball. I was out with my 4-year-old little boy yesterday hitting off the tee for 2 hours from both sides. And anyway, I'm just way into it, but it's really kind of a interesting setup for the World Series because you guys just absolutely rake and score a lot of runs, and we don't really. So it's going to be. I don't know if we can keep up with y'all or not, but
we're missing. I mean, no Verlander. Obviously, Garrett Cole left last year. No McCullers Jr. No Dallas Keuchel. Zach Greinke's not even all the way healthy. So it's and y'all have like workhorse pitching. I mean, Charlie Morton's pitching Game 1 tonight.
Yeah,
that man is a workhorse. So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, and in the playoffs, like our bullpen throughout the years kind of been suspect, but they've been lights out in the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's the first time we've seen them in the playoffs, or not in the playoffs, the World Series, like 22 years. So I'm just like, I'm thrilled either way, you know.
Man, the Red Sox are putting up, you know, I think they put up 24 runs in 2 games on us, games 2 and 3 grand slams, you know. multiple run shots left and right. That seemed like every other inning. And I flew to Game 3. I'd never been to Fenway. I went to Game 3 in Fenway.
It's a great park, ain't it?
It was unbelievable. But I spent like $5,000 on 4 tickets for my sister and brother-in-law live in D.C. They flew up there and met us. And it was my fiance and I. And by the third inning, we were down 9-0. I'm wearing a bright orange Astros jersey, and these Red Sox fans are just letting me have it. And I was like a grown man, like in tears. I was so mad that I'd flown all the way up there to see them get their butt whooped in about 25 minutes. But
did they know who you were?
Unbelievable. Man, I was really surprised. Obviously there was a lot of Houston fans there that, walking through concessions or like in the bleacher bar, which is a super cool bar. I'm sure you've been there at Fenway.
Yeah.
Asking for pictures and stuff. But, man, people just decked out in Red Sox gear were coming up, and they were like, huge fans. It was really – really cool. And then all of a sudden some guy would come up you'd think was about to ask for a picture as well, and he'd be screaming in your face like, "Get out of here!" I was like, man, we almost got in 2 fights, I think, in the first 20 minutes we were there.
I love it. It's a great equalizer, sports, man. They don't care who you are. They're just going to let you have it because you're on the opposing side. Yes. But no, when we first got you on here, we were talking about how, the lack of professionalism on this podcast. This is not something we ever really talked about doing, but when we got shut down last year, I was just going, I'm terrible with social media. I don't do the Twitter and all that stuff. Yeah. I'm just not good at it because I don't enjoy it, to be honest with you. But I was thinking, man, what are we going to do? Just sit around here and twiddle our thumbs and let's figure out a way to kind of stay connected with folks and fans. And so we've been doing it. People dig it. So it just gives us an opportunity to get to meet, you and I have met them a few times, but it kind of gives us a chance to get to know each other a little better. So we've really enjoyed it. So before I forget, thank you for your time, man. I appreciate it. I'm a big fan from afar. And the first time we met, to my knowledge, we were doing I may have told you this story, but I definitely told it on here a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about having you on. But we played a acoustic show. Where was that?
Was that at Floor's Country Store in Helotes?
Yeah. So where is that? Is that near Houston? Or am I mistaken?
No, that's about, it's just like northwest of San Antonio.
Right. Okay, it's near San Antonio. Okay. So, it was myself and you and Lee Bryce and a couple others. I forget who, but, I'm feeling pretty good about myself and, get up. And I, at the time, had, we played 4 or 5 songs a piece or something like that. I'm like, man, I can play all number ones. This is cool. I'd play and everybody'd clap, good. Lee would play, clap, good. And then every time before Parker would just go, "Hey guys," and people just lost their damn minds. Like every single, I'm like, what the hell, man? This is like Elvis Presley. It was awesome. So I don't know, just watching you and the crowd react was super cool to see. And I knew right then. I think I even told JR, I'm like, this dude is a superstar. I'm telling you. And your songs were great. And then obviously fast forward a few years and. That's certainly coming to fruition. So it's been fun to watch from afar.
Man, I appreciate that. I remember that night very well. I remember I was like the only guy. I think I hadn't signed a deal yet. I was the only guy that didn't have a big-time record deal that was playing that deal. But
you, for those out there, I hope, Parker, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I hope you understand I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah,
he certainly had a lot of success. He just hadn't done the whole record deal thing yet and all that. But I don't mean that as a knock. I mean it as a compliment.
No, not at all. No, it's But I was just saying. I remember, I was the only guy that y'all were all big time acts, and I was just this. I'm pretty sure when I got up there, everybody was like, "Well, what is this, charity or something? They're letting this kid get up here." And
no, not at all.
And like Lee Bryce had like this pedal thing he was stomping on that like does this bass, like kick drum essentially. And I'm like, man, what am I gonna do? All these dudes sound so good. And I remember that night very well because I was like, man, I think I'm maybe out of my league up on this one. Whoever decided this lineup probably needs to get fired. But everybody was Lee was the same way. And obviously Enzo manages him and manages me. So we know each other well now, but everybody was so kind that night and really kind of, receptive to me and had great things to say. And I think Ryan Hurd played that thing as well.
Yeah, it was Ryan. You're right. Yep.
I think he was on that. And then I can't remember who else, but
there was a young lady who was with us. I forget her name, but I forget. But I forgot what I did yesterday. But but no, man, it's been fun it's been so fun to watch. And I was watching an interview or a little piece you did a little while ago, and you had talked about, speaking of getting a record deal and all that, you actually mentioned that you had an offer from every label in town, which is unheard of. I got turned down by every label in town a couple of times, so I don't know that world. But no, when Pretty Heart came out, it was rocking, and then what was it? A couple of weeks into it, it was when the world kind of just went haywire. I mean, that had to be ridiculously disappointing to you.
Well, I've always said since the start, I said I wanted the slowest, longest climb to the top that I could possibly get, because I just never want it to be over. And man, life's been so good the last few years and so good right now. And if I can just keep my shit together, it'll stay pretty good for a while, hopefully. But I always wanted the slowest, trajectory. And as long as I got to the top, I wanted to take my sweet time getting there and just enjoy every step of the ride. And I've been really blessed. I put out my first record and we had a couple songs off of that independently and had a couple songs off of that take off and got regional play, and we started selling tickets, and that's what all kind of snowballed into the record deal thing after a few years. But, I finally did get the major deal that I had always wanted and was super stoked about it. And it was like, man, we're really going to get a real shot, to be on the biggest level of this business, right? Which is always the ultimate goal. And so I didn't know anything about national radio. I didn't know what a record deal really even was when I signed one. And so we went in and cut Pretty Hard. And then, the label was like, well, let's listen to these demos. And we listened to the demo of Pretty Hard, and that's the one they sent to radio.
Oh, wow.
We never even cut it again. And so I was all stoked, it was charting before. I think it had started charting, and that's why they rushed it and they kind of were playing catch up and did the radio thing. And man, I think 2 or 3 weeks after they officially started pushing it with their team at the label, it was like, I remember the day we were in Corpus about to play with Cody Johnson. We were about to walk on stage, and they made all 7,000 people leave. We got back on the buses, loaded out, went home. And I remember Enzo that day was like, go home, enjoy it, take a couple weeks off. We'll get all this sorted out. We'll be back on the road. And I joke about that with him all the time. Now I'm always like, boy, were you wrong.
Yeah. What else you been lying to me about?
I literally had the same exact conversation with my bus driver because we were in, I think, Bossier City, Louisiana.
Yeah, Bossier City.
And same kind of deal. We set up the stage and everything, and then boom, over, go home. And I remember walking off my bus at my house, telling my driver, I'm like, hell, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. And like you said, we couldn't have been more wrong.
And then it turned into like, okay, we'll make some. All right, we know it's going to be a couple months, and then it was like, all right, we'll be back in the fall. And then towards the end of the summer, you started to kind of get the idea of like, man, there's no telling when or if this ever will come back.
Right.
But I remember, after those first couple of weeks went by, and it kind of started to set in of, this is going to be a lot longer than 2 weeks. And that song had just gone to the radio, and I remember just sitting at my place in Austin. I was living by myself at the time, and I went into like this little hole of, did everything I just worked for, is that it? Like, everybody gonna forget about us. It's like our whole shot. We're gonna come back. The label's gonna have somebody else that they're hyped about, and that whole game. And I remember just being so worried. I was like, and I don't worry about anything. I'm always A1. Take whatever life throws at you, put a Band-Aid on it, keep rolling, and no complaining, all that stuff. But to myself, I really was secretly kind of like freaking out a little bit, really. I was like, man, I don't know how to do anything else. I can go home and pour concrete or sell cars for my dad, but that's not near as fun as doing this for a living.
Right.
And so that song, Pretty Heart, ended up going #1 and gold and platinum by Christmas. And had that song, flopped or not done what it did, I don't know what happened to, my mental state. I was just, like, that song was like, what damn near kept me alive the whole time, and kind of gave me a little something to hold on to and something to look forward to. I mean, that was huge for.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about it in terms of that, but like you being able to see the success it was having, even though you're sitting at home watching it instead of getting to do it on stage. That's a good point. I actually said on here a number of times in different interviews that I did, the people in our industry that I felt most sorry for were those such as yourself who were working their first big song or whatever. And in your case, it going #1 and you not having and it seems trivial because certainly there were much more important negative things going on around the world than this, but just in our universe, not being able to walk on stage that 1 week that it goes #1 or the first week and say, hey, this is our first single or whatever, this is our very first #1 record right now. That's a meaningful moment to people who do what we do, and I felt so bad for you guys who didn't get that opportunity. I'm sure it was great once you did get to go out and play it, but it's kind of odd to have a song, and we had a couple have a song that when you leave it's not a hit, and then go back out there and it's a #1 hit. Like it's such a strange dynamic.
Man, it was crazy when it was this year 2021. I think around April we started really. Maybe as soon as the Governor Abbott in Texas lifted the COVID stuff, I called my agent Henry Glasscock at WME. I said, "Let's go." I was like, and until they shut it down again, I said, "Let's go." And man, we were in Nebraska and like Minnesota and Ohio and all this stuff, and these shows are selling out, weeks and months in advance. And we had always done well in those markets, but we weren't selling out rooms like this and venues like this. And so it was like, man, all that worry and wait kind of was worth it, I guess, so to speak, and paid off. But I'll tell you what, the first 6 months of COVID, I remember just not knowing what to do with myself and wasted a whole bunch of time sitting around, and as soon as deer season started, as soon as bow season rolled around, I was like, this is the bomb. I mean, this is we're doing this wrong. We need to, from now on, we don't tour from October 5th to the end of the year.
No doubt. No doubt.
And no way we'll get that's going to be a reality. But I loved COVID during deer season. I thought it was. I mean, I was at the ranch every day for I think I set over 50 days last year and trees in East Texas, and really enjoyed it. But that was like and that's when when Pretty Heart went #1. I woke up that morning and Enzo called me at like 5 o'clock in the morning. He knew I was about to get in the deer stand. He said, "Hey, you got the #1 song this week." And then I went out and shot like a 160-inch buck with my bow. Like 45 minutes later, it was like 10 minutes after daylight, this thing came running in.
And this is the greatest day of my life.
It was. My dad was there, and it really was super cool. But to speak on what you were talking about, it was extremely strange and just kind of uncharted waters, really, I think, for any artist, but us especially, like having a song that's, they're saying it's doing so well and it's going up the charts and it's #1, but you're not walking on stage and feeling that every night. It's like when you put out a new record, those several months after that, you can tell, on stage every night, whether that music's connecting, how that music's doing.
Right.
You get that firsthand experience on, whether your record's working or not, and, whether you did a good job or not in the eyes of your fans. And so to not have that was really like the strangest thing. It's, like it says it's doing good on paper, but we're not making any money. We're not selling any tickets. We're not, it was so bizarre. And so when we came back and man, this whole summer and this fall has just been crazy, man. It's like, I don't know. It's very blessed.
So are you guys close to being done for the year, or?
Man, I would like to say that. I call it the never-ending tour. I feel like we tour 52 weeks out of the year and have since we started. And I tell my guys all the time, like, look, the goal is to make more money and play less shows a year, right?
No doubt.
And so, but after last year, missing out on that, I was like, for at least the next year or two, we're just going to grind it out and hustle and play anything and everything we can. And we got to make up for that lost year, So
right, yeah, I feel like we've been saying we feel like we crammed 9-10 months of touring, which we normally do, because we usually take a couple of months off in the during the holidays and that kind of stuff. But
yes, sir.
But it felt like 9-10 months of touring in like 5 months, and I did it when I was 23, 24, 25, and didn't bother me. Now, like the old throat doesn't hold up the way it used to. 7-8 shows in 10 days ain't near as easy as it was 10, 12 years ago. So,
man, and I quit drinking. I quit, everything this summer. I think I've drank 5 nights since we started touring again in April. Just because I was like, man, in my mind, I was like, we cannot afford to have any reason to miss shows or cancel any more shows. And then, I think we worked so hard. I ended up having to cancel a couple shows because my voice just went, for the first time ever, it was actually gone. Like there was I could barely talk.
Couldn't drink enough hot tea or anything. It just
hot
wasn't
tea
there.
and throat coat and the whole deal, man. It's and I felt fine. I wasn't sick or anything. I just, I think I sang every night of the summer, and it finally caught up to me. But we made a lot of headway this summer and covered a lot of ground. So it was I think it was worth it.
That's awesome, JR. I feel like I haven't shut up. I don't know.
No, I'm loving it. Hey, I'm loving it. Hey, and I'm sure our listeners are loving it too, because they all think I talk too damn much anyway, so that's fine. But no, I was gonna say, Parker, I have been jamming your new record. Absolutely love the new record. I hadn't dug back in your man. I was telling everybody I've been heard about you for years, and I've been slacking the last few of digging into the guys that my buddies turned me on to, but loving the new record, love the sound of it. I love what you were saying earlier about the slow rise, slow fall thing, because before I worked for Justin, I was John Party's tour manager when he first kicked off his thing, and that was always our motto. It's like, slow rise, slow fall kind of thing. As long as you get into the end goal, it doesn't matter. You don't need to be always need to be on a rocket ship, because that doesn't always work out. So I thought that's great on your end to have that mentality and to think that way, because a lot of times you can get starstruck real quick and be like, hey, let's just shoot to the moon. But there's a strategy to get to that end goal. And I thought it was cool. We're talking about earlier about the Astros. And being in country music, because you're outnumbered. But how good is it going to feel if y'all get a couple games up on everybody that's Braves fan? And I don't want it to happen, but just for you, boy, that'd be cool. This new outlaw from Texas comes in and his team's whooped up all the locals team. You know what I mean?
And all I can say is need to take away my Twitter, because
well, we had to do that for Justin's. So
those beers they sell at Minute Maid are about that big. So you have about 2 of those, and you get on the internet when your team's rolling, and you get yourself in trouble real quick.
Yeah, Parker stopped drinking and doing whatever else to you said. I forget what you said. To make sure nothing got in the way of success. We took my Twitter away.
Yeah,
because I just get on there and talk shit.
Yeah, I don't need Justin argue with some 14-year-old Kentucky Wildcat fan about a regular season Arkansas Kentucky game. So yeah,
Gosh.
Yeah, so I totally get that. But hey, no, talking about music though, I want to swap back over onto some of that stuff. What I know in some stuff I've listened to, you nodded the usual suspects that we all mostly grew up listening to, but I know you're a hair younger than Justin than I. What was the scene like when you were in high school? Who were you jamming? I know you're from Texas. I was a red dirt guy myself. The first guy I ever worked for was a guy from Alabama, Wayne Mills, which is funny enough. Henry Glasscock was an independent agent back then, was one of our agents, which is crazy 20-something years later how it all shakes out. But so I was a big like Jason Boland,
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Fowler, Roger Krieger. That was who, Stoney, Ragweed. That was who was the Texas guys when I first got, because we were on Austin Universal Entertainment. So when we were swapping dates with Blue Edmondson. So what was the scene like when you were coming up, and who were your influences, Texas and outside of that, more so than just the ones that everybody would know?
Man, I was really lucky. My older brother Tyler, phenomenal songwriter. He's 6 years older than I was, or 6 years older than I am, and really, really talented songwriter, and got into really Americana and also what they call kind of Texas country singer-songwriters at a young age. So I was exposed to it at an even younger age, and had no friends, that listened to Pat Green or Randy Rogers Band or James McMurtry or Robert Earl Keen or Lyle Lovett or Rodney Crowell. Guys that Hayes Carl, Slade Cleaves, Chris Knight. That's a long, long list for me. But I was exposed to those guys at such a young age and fell in love with their way they wrote songs at such a young age that, by the time I was in high school, that is all I listened to. And then about my sophomore year of high school, I was at my cousin's house one night, and we were sitting around playing guitar real late, and my cousin Braden started playing this song called South Side of Heaven. And I said, man, who is that? And he said, oh, it's a guy named Ryan Bingham. And so I think I went to Hastings and got, if anybody remembers what Hastings are, I don't know if y'all have those in the South, but
we did.
Like an old CD store back in the day. And I went and got Mescalito on a CD at Hastings. And then that's how I discovered Ryan Bingham, and that who he was at the time, and that record and the following record, Roadhouse Sun, he put out. Those two changed the game for me, changed what how I saw myself as a songwriter and as an artist. And that was just in high school. I was obsessed with Ryan Bingham. And so that ended up, that's how I found out who Turnpike Troubadours were, and the Band of Heathens. And, that I got really, really into Shooter Jennings at the time. And so I was, from the time I was in fifth grade till I was, 19, 20 years old, I was just obsessed with all those guys. And then, that's really kind of, how I learned to write songs was, listening to their records and learning how to play those songs, like off of cowboylyrics.com, if anybody remembers that website.
Yeah.
I think the first song I ever learned to play and sing on guitar, I was in seventh grade. It was Framed by Chris Knight.
Love it.
And so I was, and I didn't have any friends. There were no other seventh graders on my football team that listened to Chris Knight or even knew who he was.
Right.
And so I fell in love with him at a really young age.
You came out. When you played ball, your come out song was "Loving a 45."
Yeah, it was so funny. They'd make fun of me all the time. Like even just things like the movie Tombstone. Like none of those kids knew what the movie Tombstone or Lonesome Dove or any of that was. I was like raised real, very, very heavy on that stuff. That's what was cool in my family and my cousins and my older brother and stuff. And man, those kids I went to school with just had no idea what any of that was.
You're like, please listen to the words of this song. It's called I Can't Hide the Tears Behind My Aviators. I promise you, it makes so much sense when
And those kids they didn't care. They wanted to listen to Slim, which I love. Slim Thug, he's a big Houston rapper, and all these Wiz Khalifa and Drake and all these rappers that were big at the same time. That's what all my buddies were into. And they would never give me the auxiliary chord in high school because they knew I was going to play Down the River by Chris Knight and kill the mood.
Yeah, it's so funny because, and I don't know, how old are you, Parker? I don't even know.
29. I just turned 29 in June.
Well, happy belated birthday.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're going to be in the 30s here shortly.
Coming up.
But yeah, it's funny because a lot of my friends listen to more like, I guess, alternative rock and that kind of stuff. But I literally listened to nothing but country music growing up and Southern rock. My uncle was in the Southern rock band, so I, jump up with him at VFW clubs and Moose Lodges and that kind of stuff.
That's awesome.
And played, Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers, that kind of stuff. But
but
I had no, they would play, I don't know, Blink 182 or something like, and I'm like, I don't know any, so I know the feeling because I played on those same ball teams basically. not football, but baseball and basketball, and they're going, don't give Justin the CD player because we're gonna listen to,
I remember one time
George Strait or something.
Yeah, well, I remember like one time I was playing quarterback in 7th grade, and we got on the bus to go play an away game, and my math teacher was my one of my football coaches, and I had like the iPod had just come out, I think, of the iPod Mini maybe, and I'd gotten one for my birthday that summer or something, and the only song I had on it was Jack and Diane by John Mellencamp.
Right.
And so I just listened to that song like on repeat. I was one of the only kids with an iPod. And I listened to that song on repeat, and he saw it on there. And I remember he said, "Man, that's white trash. What are you doing listening to that?" And I remember being like, "Man, who is this guy coaching football in Texas and doesn't like John Mellencamp?" But Coach Smith, Coach Smith, if you're watching this, you were wrong.
How do you like me now? Yeah, Coach. I love
That's
it.
funny.
So what sports did you play other than football?
Man, I played football only in high school, but I played everything growing up: football, baseball, basketball. And then I quit, before my senior year of high school. We were just I was like, by the time I was in my senior year of high school, man, I was such a punk. I wanted to. Have you ever seen the movie Dazed and Confused?
Oh yeah.
So that's what was cool to me then. Like I thought I wanted to be just like those kids and be just like Pink, and quit the football team, and all about rebelling. And I was just that kid. And I remember my high school football coach Richard Carson. The day I quit, we were walking through the athletic hall, and I told him, I said, "Hey, I'm done." I think it was during the off season my junior year.
Were you doing music at the time?
I was trying to play open mic nights around the play, and that was bad, dude. I mean, bad. And he told me, he said, "It's the worst decision you'll ever make is quitting football to go play music." And then it was kind of funny. I got a message from him on Instagram a couple weeks ago. We sold out the Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion in my hometown, which I graduated high school on that stage. Wow. It's like 17,000 people sell it out. And the day of the show, I get a message from that football coach. I hadn't talked to him since that day. And he said, "Hey, man, we're so proud of you. Congrats." And I just clicked right back out, didn't message back or nothing. I was like, yeah.
I mean, that is Randall story. Pink Floyd. I mean, that's exactly you're the continuation. They don't tell the end of Days Confused. Randall Pink Floyd went on to be Parker McCollum.
Yeah, we had just so we had McConaughey on the podcast. I still have no idea why he said yes to doing it, but pretty awesome to have him on. When you bring up that movie is what reminded me.
That's one of my favorite films of all time. I'm sorry, JR, go ahead.
No, go ahead, buddy. No, that's what I was going to lead into. Go ahead.
No, I mean that's one of my favorite movies, if not my most favorite movie of all time, and it's kind of funny looking back now what I thought was cool, and I'm sure my mom was fed up by the time I left and moved. I didn't go to college. I knew I wanted to move to Austin and get into a music scene and be around kids that were wanting to write songs and start a band, and back then my mentality about it was just so different than it is nowadays. I mean, it was just play in empty bars until someone discovers you, and this really honestly the correct term to describe how I was is lazy. I was really lazy, and it took me till I was probably 21 or 22 to really kind of start applying the mentality I had as an athlete to my music career, and how beneficial that can be, to go about your business like a grown man and hustle and get up every day and go earn, what you want out of life, whatever you're trying to do. So, but I have that movie to blame for the way that I was when I was 19.
That's great perspective, though. I mean, honestly, man, because I was in the same boat. I moved to Nashville when I was 18, so kind of like you moving to Austin, where there certainly was and still is a scene there. I went to Nashville because I knew I had to be there, but I was the same way. It was like, and the other thing with me, other than being lazy, which most of us are at 18, 19 years old, but I don't know about you, but for me, we had no idea. Where I grew up, I had no clue how to make it, so to speak. I mean, there's
no idea.
I was completely uneducated, so I was educating myself, as I was trying to have some success, and I didn't even know what that meant at the time. You know what I mean? Like, so you kind of have to go through some of that stuff, I think, and I don't think it's singular to our business. I think that's pretty much any business that you want to be successful in.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do, and it's like I was saying a minute ago. Just I look at my mindset back then versus now and how different it is. But I wish I knew now what I knew then, right? Or I wish I knew then what I knew now, kind of saying. And I think I was maybe 22, I think, and had just finished recording my first album, and I didn't even know what you did once you recorded the album. I thought you just, sell it on the side of the road or something, like Spotify and all that stuff. I don't even think was out then.
Stick it in the back of your pickup truck and sell it for $10.
Yeah, I mean, and that's literally what I was doing, man. We were riding around in my truck trying to play shows, and sure you remember the days of trying to get band members to show up and commit. And, you're playing with a different drummer or a different bass player or whatever every other week, and but I didn't have any hustle. I had no direction. I had no plan. And my dad's a big business guy. I've been in the car business his whole life. And I remember one day he called me and he said, look, he's like, you're wanting to win the lottery. He's like, you're literally waiting for someone to walk into an empty bar and discover you. He's like, the only way you're going to get to where you want to go is if you change your mindset and start busting your ass, right? For lack of a better term. And I remember that phone call so well. I think back on it all the time, especially even nowadays when I'm run ragged doing radio or on the road and tired. And, I'm always just like, man, I'm so far from being done, so far from, the level I want to be on and my ultimate goal. Nothing has changed since that phone call as far as how my mentality needs to be. And so even to this day, I find myself, kind of having to have a reality check sometimes and be like, man, you think this is hard, it's just you better hope it's just getting started.
Right.
But I call those years, my early 20s, I call them my lost years. And I think, and like to your point, I think they're incredibly important. And I kind of got all that out of the way and got that out of my system. And I'm lucky, man. My mom's side of the family, my dad's side of the family are, you call them any time of the day and ask them what they're doing. I'm working. What are you doing? And so it took me till I was probably, 21, 22 to realize there's a reason that they work all the time. It's because they want to live good and make money and be successful and take care of their family. And man, I just applied that mindset and wanted to have the same, I wanted to earn it the hard way but just in the music business, which when you're 22, right, you tell somebody you want to do that, right? What do they say? Oh, well, good luck,
Yeah, they look at you like you have about 3 heads, yeah.
Yeah, and so we'd see you when you get a real job. And so now they're all –
yeah, well, it sounds like, too, you were lucky like myself and JR, and your parents were supportive. Like, you hear stories of artists or entertainers and actors, whatever, where you say, I want to be a country music star or whatever, and your parents go, get your ass back in school or whatever. Yeah. I went to college for 2 weeks. And that's
about what I did.
And I told my mom and dad, I said, look, because I was a good student in high school, so it was kind of unheard of for me not to continue, to higher education. But they knew I loved music, and I'd started playing like my senior year of high school and kind of taking it a little more serious. And I said, look, I want to do this. I don't want to go back to school. And fortunately, instead of saying go back to school, they said, look, we fully support you. We'll help you do whatever, and you can always go back to school. But they even said this to me, and I was feeling the same way. They're like, we don't want you to look up when you're 30 years old and wonder what would have happened had you tried this. Yeah, we'd rather you try and not succeed than you blame us or yourself for never having given it a shot. So that's a huge deal, and it sounds so simple now, but all parents and families are not that way, quite honestly.
No, I think my mom my parents split when I was real young, but I think my mom, when I left high school, and she was just what is this kid? I mean, she probably felt like she had failed raising me. But it was really my dad who, I think he just kind of understood what my mindset was at 19 and 20. And I think he knew that the day would come that I would realize, right, some people don't get it till they're 60. Some people, I was fortunate. I got it when I was 21, 22 years old. I kind of realized that, it's a job and you got to treat it as one. Well, he just, him being real frank with me and being like, look, I think you got the talent to do it, but you have to work. I mean, it's if you're not out there every night taking care of business, somebody else is kind of mentality, right? The age-old saying. And that, man, it really, I remember just, kind of one day I was living in South Austin and, man, just bumming around and stoned all the time and, thinking being a songwriter and being broke was cool. And, man, I don't know, something just clicked one day on the phone with him. And I said, you know what? Nobody's going to do this for me. There's plenty of kids who, have people tried to buy them music careers or this and that. And my dad offered to do a lot of that stuff for me. I remember he called me one day and said, I'll put your band on salary. I didn't even have a band. He's like, I'll buy you in-ears, a bus, whatever you need. And I just said, man, no one's ever going to respect me, if I roll up to these shows as that kid who nobody, and so I turned every bit of it down. And I think that's really when he was like, okay, he is serious. He really is going to work for this. And so that was kind of my harsh reckoning with myself of, like, I'll die on that hill. I will do this the hard way.
That's like I'm sure you earned a ton of
method,
I'm sure you earned a ton of respect from him from that decision, and I think it's pretty cool. It's more loving to me from him to have that come to Jesus talk with you than even, hey, I'll buy this and do that and do this and do that. So that's cool that y'all's relationship sounds like it's pretty strong and awesome, and obviously a huge part of your success.
Dude, my dad is, and then, like I was saying earlier, just to have you don't realize when you're a kid until you get older, having a granddad like I had and a dad like I have and people that set those examples and get up every day and go to work, they don't bitch and moan about nothing, like no matter what happens, they got to get up and go to work in the morning. Yeah. And so it's for him, to me to not have a normal job, but to still apply that work ethic to the music business, I think really kind of, I don't know if it made him proud or whatever, but it was just cool because, I told him, I said, look, I'm going to do this the hard way. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to sign a major record deal. I'm going to go do this thing. And then last year for his 60th birthday, I've been pretty hard, went gold. I got him a big gold record with his name on it.
That's awesome.
And he was just, he started, I'd never seen him cry my whole life. And he started getting all teary eyed and it was just cool because he had been the one that believed in me more than anybody. And had my back the whole entire way. And then, we kind of did it together, man. In a way.
Very cool.
He's a G. If you ever met it, you may have met him that day at the golf tournament. He was out there kicking everybody's butt. But,
I was out there not kicking everybody's butt.
me neither. I played like shit that day.
Oh, man. So –
I got tequila drunk in the middle. I got tequila drunk in the middle of the day. I don't remember much of it, but it was fun.
I tell you what was so Parker and I played in Tracy Lawrence's golf tournament. I guess that was this year. It all runs together, but
it was early.
I think it was beginning of the summer.
Yeah. Benefit golf tournament, and there's tons of artists and different celebrities and. To me, the most nerve-wracking thing I've ever done, maybe in my entire life, is in front of everyone there.
John Daly, everyone.
Yeah, have to hit a shot from 165 or something. I don't know, whatever it was. But you have a gallery of Vince Gill and John Daly and Parker McCollum and
everybody.
You're like, I'll just pass on it. Fortunately, I didn't shank it. I did hit a good shot.
No, you had Tracy and Daly calling the hogs while you were
that is the most nerve-wracking. We can walk out on stage in front of thousands of people like it ain't nothing.
Yeah.
But hand me a golf club and tell me to hit the ball in front of 40 people, and I lose my damn mind.
You're like, somebody
Yeah,
hold my vodka. Watch this.
Yeah.
I didn't go.
You didn't do it?
No, my dad was standing there. He's like, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do it. And I was like, there is no way. Nobody there knew who I was hardly. Like, I was standing in the back. I said, there is no way I'm hitting that golf ball in front of all these people right now. Because that'll be the one time that I dribble it 12 yards.
Well, I was just worried about like shanking one and hitting somebody right beside me or something.
Yeah.
Like knocking them out. But
And then
but
Daly
anyway,
gets up there at higher than cloud 9 and puts it right in.
Can't even
right
hardly
on the cup.
walk.
No, puts it right up on
Just
the cup. Crazy.
Unreal. So
Hey, well,
Go
I got
ahead,
I got a few things I want to do some housekeeping here before we get out. Parker, I appreciate your time today, though, brother, and
Yes,
I hope we get
sir.
to see you on the road here real soon. But a few things we do here on the podcast. We'll do this one first because I think it's a lead into the other. We do number one song in country music on the day you were born. So, for instance, I'm 9/11/79, so that year's number one song was I May Never Get to Heaven by Conway Twitty on that day, and Justin's 3/30/84, and the number one song that day was Roll On 18-Wheeler by Alabama.
Come on.
So does anybody want
what's
to take
ironic is Conway Twitty's from Arkansas, and Alabama, obviously from Alabama.
Yep.
His.
So does anybody want to take a stab at what June 15th of 92 had in store? I know Alabama was on the way to win a national championship.
Is it Randy Travis? Oh man, not Hard Rock Bottom of Your Heart. Maybe
What did you say?
Is it a Randy?
92?
92.
Yes,
It's
sir.
I'll give y'all a hint. It's probably the least country song that was played on country radio in 1992. In some people's
Is it
Achy
Billy
Breaky
Ray
Heart.
Cyrus? Achy Breaky Heart.
That was it.
Oh no!
So you were breaking hearts. You were breaking hearts coming out the womb there, Parker.
Man.
So
Wow.
he told Travis, "Here's a quarter. Call someone who cares." He called country music and said, "Everybody cares." Yeah. So anyway, that was the number one song in country music was Billy Ray Cyrus, "Achy Breaky Heart," in his white tennis shoes and mullet and all. And I'm sure I was at a Heartland dance hall trying to line dance with some chick to it. So
Hey, true story. I won a talent contest when I was 8 or 9 years old with the Canadian tuxedo, sleeveless denim shirt, the white tennis shoes, doing the whole dance, everything. But I
That's
won
hilarious.
and the only reason I did it is because my older cousin was the Beta Club president, and they were the ones putting it on at school. And he begged me to do it, and my mom and dad I was obsessed with Michael Jordan, which who wasn't, but at the time in particular, I was obsessed with Michael Jordan. And they told me if I did it, no matter if I won or I didn't, they would buy me a brand new pair of Jordans. So that's what I did. And I won it with Achy Breaky Heart.
yep.
So yeah.
And I've seen it,
So-
and it's good stuff.
Ridiculous.
It's good stuff. Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous, but it's good stuff. Hey, another thing real quick, Parker, you say you're engaged. Getting married sometime soon, brother?
I am, man. It's funny how much more success I've seen in my career since I stopped chasing women and getting messed up all the time. It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that, right?
Welcome to the club, brother. Yeah. And the last thing I want to do before we get you out of here is we do Mount Rushmore of country music, and we've decided that there is no definitive Mount Rushmore of country music because everybody's interpretation of who they think's theirs and this and that. So, who would Parker McCollum's Mount Rushmore of country music be?
Willie Nelson and George are obviously on there. Man, I hate to be so generic and say Waylon, but I'd have to put Waylon on there as well. And then, he didn't have a long career. I'd love to put Keith Whitley on there. I'm assuming 4 is all there's room for.
Well, we expanded out to a couple of – it gets bigger.
Yeah, I mean, it would have Willie, George, Waylon, Whitley. I'd like to put Rodney Crowell on there just because I think he's the man.
Man, Diamonds and Dirt is one of the best albums ever made, period.
Yeah, he's man, I just feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves.
I agree.
Man, it's golly, how would you ever pick that?
I know
I could put AJ on there.
His is
man,
pretty much sounding exactly like mine.
Yeah, we got Hank Junior's on
I put
ours.
Hank
We're a hair
Jr.,
older,
but-
you know.
But,
Yeah, I mean, I would put Hank Sr. on there.
right.
See, I had to because I'm from Alabama, and I mean, I grew up in the community of Kalijah. I mean, and I heard those songs from day. I mean,
we played that song at my granddad's funeral.
Wow. Wow.
that's awesome.
Hey,
and
real quick,
you sound
I
like
meant
us
to-
with the granddad thing too. Our granddads were our heroes as well.
Yeah.
Big time, yes, sir.
I meant to ask you earlier, and I said this the other day, and I think I maybe misspoke. Who produces your albums?
John Randall
Okay.
Stewart. That's what was kind of funny about.
I said
that's
Trent
what-
Willman. I knew it was some artist, and I don't, for some reason I said Trent Willman. But Trent
No, man,
Willman
it's-
produced somebody, but I guess it wasn't you, obviously.
It was kind of funny whenever I'd signed my deal, and I think they were trying to put me with a big time, probably a little poppier producer, radio friendly producer, and I had met John Randall, and I knew right away I wanted to produce my record, but I don't think Universal was super keen on us working together, and so they let us go in and cut demos, kind of as essentially, I guess, really as a tryout to see how it would go. And the first song we cut was pretty hard.
And what
The
they
very
sent to
first-
radio was the demo. So there you go.
It was
So,
kind of,
yeah,
it's kind of funny how it worked out.
Well, I say that, or I ask that because, man, I genuinely mean this. I absolutely love your voice. I think
Oh, thank you.
it doesn't sound, your voice doesn't sound like anybody's out there, and I mean that as a compliment.
Thank you.
You sound just as good, if not better, live. I've heard it. I've seen it with my own eyes. And your records sound different than anything out there, which to me is kind of hard to do these days. We kind of all fall into the same traps of all doing the same stuff or chasing what's working for this artist or that artist. And I mean, I really admire anybody who can come out and do anything that sounds different, and you do, and it's fresh, and the lyrics are great. It's not the same old bubblegum stuff, and I'm a really big fan, man, and I'm really happy to see you have the success that you're having, and man, the sky's the limit for you, brother. I fully believe that.
Thank you, man. It's like the only thing that I could ever I don't ever pat myself on the back or nothing, man. I really just the way I was raised is, keep your head down and act like you've been there, and outwork everybody, and treat everybody right with respect, regardless of their stature or what they do for a living. And I try to put that stuff into my music. So when someone who was probably raised very similar to the way I was recognizes something like that means a lot to me. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, I mean it. And I think you said this on another interview or something, and I've always tried to, or attempted to do the same, is you just want to be honest with you. I think you said you want to be honest with fans, and that's what I always tell people. And people ask me all the time about, how do you sustain success in this business in particular? And I always say that. I say, people want to know what we look like on TV and sound like on the radio, but they want to know who you are as a person as well. And you being genuine and honest with them, because they can cut through the BS. Fans are a lot smarter than sometimes we give them credit for. And so I believe, from all I've seen and heard of you, you're doing that. So congrats.
I appreciate that, Justin. And man, I've listened to you for a long time. I heard you on the radio for a long time, and so many of my buddies are always playing your stuff when we're out at the ranch or on the boat or whatever. It's always it always seems like there's Justin Moore on somewhere wherever I go.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, man, it's just cool to be on your podcast and get to kind of sit here and talk in such a normal setting, and it's not like we're in a interview or a radio thing or whatever having to be us. It's cool to someone else who understands the game and has put in the work and the time and the years of perfecting his craft, and they appreciate what you do. That really does mean a lot. Not to be all
awesome.
No,
I
goofy,
appreciate it. And cool. Man, when we jump off here, we'll trade info, sell information and all that stuff, and anything I can ever do for you, man, don't hesitate, for sure.
I appreciate that. Back at you, man. That goes both ways. For you too, JR.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Parker. And I
I've
hope we get to do some shows together.
I've got so many younger cousins going, hey, can you? I know you're having Parker McCollum. Can I go to this show? Can I go to that show? Can I go to this show? And I'm like, hey, look, chill out.
And anytime we can ever take care of anybody, I always tell everybody it's so easy to do.
Likewise,
it's
man.
we don't. I know there's a lot of people doing the COVID restrictions and all that, and good on them. Whatever you feel comfortable doing. But with us, we ain't too worried about it. So we like to have people out and show them a good time. So
awesome, man. Well, man, continued success, and like I said, we'll make sure we get each other's info. But thank you again for spending the time with us, man. I know you got a thousand other things you could be doing today. You could be sitting in a tree today.
Man, I've
here you are sitting with us.
My family has 2 big ranches here in Texas that I grew up ranching on and hunting on every year of my life. And I'm so tired of sharing them with my cousins and, worried looking over my shoulder, wondering when my Uncle Todd's going to come rolling up on me. And I said I swear off deer season for this year and next year. Hopefully I can stack enough and get my own place here in Texas and do whatever the hell I want.
That's the goal. There you go. All right, buddy. Well, we sure appreciate you taking some time with us today, Parker. I'll make sure to get with Enzo and get our numbers swapped around. And like Justin said, anything we can ever do for you, your family, anybody, your friends, anywhere, you'll let them know. We'll hook them up. Same here. We're in the same boat on that. We're still trying to rock and roll. And hopefully we get to do some shows together next year. If not a festival, maybe we'll do some dates somewhere on the road somewhere. That'd be awesome.
Man, we sure would love to do it, man. Y'all hit us and let us know what you got. And we're on the road. Seems like 52 weeks out of the year, so no excuse not to link up.
There you go. No doubt. No doubt.
Right,
we
brother.
appreciate you taking the time today, buddy. We'll catch up with you soon. Everybody go check out ParkerMcCollum.com. Go find him on Instagram, Twitter, and all that fun stuff, and interact with him because you can't interact with JM for now, and who knows, he might get
his
off
latest
there one
album.
day. Yeah, and definitely go check out his new record because I'm all about it. And from the Limestone Kid and the Dirt Road Kid and old JR the Handler, this has been Parker McCollum. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Talk to y'all later.
Thanks,
God bless you.
See you, buddy. Likewise.
That was cool.
Man, what a great guy. Great guy.
No doubt.
Man, I kind of touched on it, with him, but that's another example of, us doing this podcast, get to know somebody that we don't really – we know him. We're friendly.
Yep.
But to get to know his story and – man, just seems like such a together dude to be as young as he is, and great work ethic. And I was going to give him some stuff for. I was going to ask him who he looked like, since he looks like a model, and that probably contributed to him having offers from everyone like me. I look like me. That's usually hurtful, But no, what a great dude. Thank him for coming on for sure.
Yeah, it was really neat. It's always, like I said, a lot of these guys and girls we already know, so you kind of know their backstory, so you don't get into that. But hearing somebody for the first time, not knowing our backstory or your backstory, knowing, with the journey and the influences and that kind of stuff, it's definitely cool. And what a cool guy. I knew we'd like him. Cody was a big fan, and shout out to my buddy Cody Ox in Texas. He turned me on this guy like 7 years ago, and
I'm telling you, man, I told him I love his voice. It's there's something different about it. I don't really know how to explain it, but different in a good way.
Yeah,
like I don't know, but
I'm in the same boat.
And he's just a star. You see him on stage, you're like, that dude's a star. Like that first show we did together, I was talking about. You're like, good Lord, like what? These people are losing their minds.
Yeah,
I'll come out and play.
Swag.
Beta Hook, and they're like, yay! He plays a song that hadn't been on the radio, but everybody knows, and there's bras on stage. There's cowboy hats. But it was pretty neat to see, really. And me now, like I'm like the older guy now, or one of, and it's pretty neat to see that. You know?
Yeah.
And you just know when you're like, that dude's gonna be a star.
That's kind of like when I saw Riley. I was saying, like, it's like I could see him around these, and it was like,
another good example.
And back home, I could just tell. I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna work. And with Parker, and And that's what I was saying. I love his sound of his records too. You could that Ryan Bingham influence. I can see that in his sound.
Is that the guy that's in
everything? Yeah,
the
Tombstone.
Western?
I mean, Yellowstone. Yeah, Yellowstone.
Yeah. Okay. I
He's
thought
Cowboy.
so.
He was also in the movie Crazy Heart with.
Yep.
He was the
Jeff
backing band.
Bridges.
Yeah, he was the backing band. That was him and his real band as the backing band in that movie.
Is he
But
not an Alabama guy?
no, he's a California guy.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
why
he's
I
a
thought
LA
that.
guy. I think he's California born and raised, but he's always been a LA guy. But he's always
I
put
thought
out
he
good
was
records.
lower Alabama, LA.
Not Bingham.
I guess I'm
the other LA.
missed that one.
Yeah, the dirty,
great
the
in-
dirty
he's-
expensive one.
Man, he's great in Yellowstone.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, great. And
But he's one of the ones you don't know his music as well. Like, and it was funny. He was talking about Chris Knight, and that's one me and you've talked about before.
Yep.
You know, it's like, Bingham's got some good records, no doubt. And it's that sound you can tell it's that Western influence sound too. You know, and that lonesome cowboy thing. But anyway, I love it.
Yep.
Well, yeah. Thanks to Parker McCollum for coming on and spending some time with us today. Want to say before we forget, thanks to Chad Belding, our brother from the Foul Life, for
Yep,
coming on last
sure.
week and spending time. Got a lot of good feedback about the episode that came out last week with him on it. So I want to thank Chad again. Y'all remember to go check him out and all his stuff, and stay tuned because hopefully we'll have him back to do another recap on hunting season. And go check out that episode Justin was on his podcast. You can go back and dig it
that
up
was
if you get bored.
a year or so ago, something like that. But really good and a lot of fun. And I was thinking about it earlier. I had watched part of that episode on YouTube because you can watch the Justin Moore podcast on YouTube. For those out there listening that don't know that, go check it out. We go through we jump through a lot of hoops to make sure that gets out there. So hopefully you guys are taking advantage of that. But he looked like Macho Man Randy Savage.
You kind of did, yeah.
He really did.
With the hat,
with the
yeah.
sleeveless
The beard.
shirt and the hat and the beard and
That's
all he
funny.
needed was the shades. And
I knew he looked like somebody, and you nailed it. That's it.
I
Botch.
couldn't figure it out while we were doing it. And I'm like, yes, Macho Man. Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, well, speaking
You
of
want
macho,
to take the cutter
the
tonight.
cutter, step into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah, brother.
Got to see him this week. Not
yeah, that's
Macho
what-
Man, but DDP.
Yeah, I was going to say, speaking of wrestling legends, this past weekend we played in Atlanta, Georgia, and it was good to see our brother Diamond Dallas Page and his girlfriend Paige and my brother Dylan, a.k.a. Sunny Days, got to come to the show. It's good to catch up with them, and Dally looking good, feeling good as always.
Did he say he was 65 or 67?
65
I
years old.
mean,
Still jacked.
it's crazy. And
Engaging.
I mean, it's just
I came
awesome
home-
to see him. Really,
came
really
home-
awesome. He's just such a good soul. I mean,
Yeah.
he really is just a genuinely great human being. And, man, it's cool to be able to call him a friend for sure.
Yeah, I came home and got my first workout in yesterday of the year. Talking about me and you not staying up late drinking and listening to music. We hadn't done that all year, really. And
At all.
At all.
I mean, I know y'all don't believe us out
Nobody
there. I know
believes
my wife's
me.
probably
No,
my wife's
yeah.
probably listening to this going, whatever.
Yeah, nobody believes
I
us.
promise you, we haven't. At
happened.
all. I mean, not one time, which is nuts. But
just hadn't.
But
It was just,
I mean, I guess that's good. That's a good thing. I mean, it's not a negative, but it's
it ain't
just
very fun,
foreign.
I can tell you.
It's foreign, that's for sure.
It ain't very fun, but it's not very necessarily a negative. But yeah, so I got my first workout in yesterday and went to the gym. Did a conference call with Pete and Joey and Jeff, but did that out by the pool at the gym and got my. I am sore. I tell you how bad out of shape I am, but I'm gonna tighten it back up because next year we're gonna do shows with a bunch of people, and all these young guns gonna be ready to play some hoops. And old JR is going to be back in shape by then.
Hey, we're going to get back in fighting shape for next year. Me and
we
you
kept
both.
threatening to do it all. We just didn't do nothing this year. We just worked and tried to rest enough to get to the next job. Is about all we did. I mean, that's it.
We
I
pretty
mean,
much just lay on the bus and sleep and watch Ted Lasso. To be
That's-
honest,
that's the
with
only
you.
thing we-
That's
and we
pretty
didn't
much
even-
all we do.
And there's only a combined 10 hours of Ted Lasso. It ain't like it. We were on the road, 200 days this year. It feels like so.
Hey,
I don't know what we were doing.
I will say this too. Speaking of stuff, if you haven't watched Ted Lasso, go watch it.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're into sports or you ain't. It is just a great show. It's a great,
Absolutely.
great show. It's well
Absolutely.
written. The acting is awesome. I highly, highly recommend going and watching that. Another one we rewatched recently was Eastbound and Down.
Oh yeah.
I would say if you're a sports fan, probably you would like that. But I don't. Maybe you don't
If you
have to
just
be
like-
to watch it either. But it is hysterical.
If you like funny things before everyone in the world gets canceled for saying anything funny about anybody, go watch. Eastbound
Go
and Down.
watch it.
Yeah.
And speaking of everybody getting canceled, anybody out there calling for Netflix to pull down Dave Chappelle's latest, I guess, stand-up special on Netflix? I think it's called The Closer. Shut up.
Yeah.
Just shut up.
It's just jokes.
It's
man.
hysterical.
It's just jokes, man. It's
And
just jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, you could cancel every comedy act there ever was because that's part of it. It's jokes, though.
mean,
it's just jokes. It's not
yeah,
screaming at someone on the subway wanting to fight them over this stuff. It's jokes, and it's for laughter. And they laugh at, and he makes fun of himself. And I mean,
the other thing is, like,
oh my gosh,
the dude. If you really watch it and you really genuinely truly listen
to what he's trying to say,
the dude is brilliant. I mean, brilliant.
Yeah,
and makes some really good points.
Yep.
But you got to listen now. You can't just be on the surface. You got to listen.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I just had to throw that in there when we're talking about watching stuff. Go watch it before they pull it down.
Right.
Dude is hysterical. He's one of the greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I mean,
he's top 5. Oh, he's top 5 for sure. Yeah, he could be the greatest. Yeah, top 5 for sure. Well, talking about that. We were in Atlanta last weekend. Then went to Huntsville. Awesome. Then Corbin, Kentucky. Thanks to everybody, all the promoters, people who work the shows, fans who came to the shows. Thank you to everybody. Scott Stevens coming out playing shows with us. Got to do a show with the incomparable Mr. Tracy Lawrence. Good to see him strut that ass.
Thank you to the catering from, in particular, Corbin.
Oh, yeah.
It was fantastic. So much so that it put JR and I in a food coma, and we almost didn't make it to stage on time.
Yeah.
I had to throw that in.
Yeah. Justin and I vowed next year we're going to start our whole routine of getting ready for the show about an hour earlier because we've been getting and all the catering was good on these, and then just long days, and now it's getting cold. Oh, it's tough.
So some inside baseball for you. It may be a few weeks since we've given you some. So JR and I love Mexican food, and so I would say once a weekend, usually second day of a 3-day run or something, we'll just get a bunch of Mexican food brought to the bus, and we'll kind of eat on it for a couple of days. JR comes out, and he goes, or you came into the bus, not out. And you go, man, I know we just had Mexican, but I went in there. I didn't plan on eating, but they got all kinds of, like, Southern food in there, like pork chops, chicken, mashed potatoes, green
good
beans,
mashed
corn,
potatoes.
cobbler,
Good green
ice
beans.
cream. He goes, it's seasoned right. It's like you could tell we're back in the South. No offense to anybody who's not, but people can cook down here, and they season stuff with bacon grease.
And cook it till it's not crunchy anymore. And
so I go in. I go in to check something on stage, a guitar or something. I'm like, let me just check this catering out. I've already eaten Mexican food. I've eaten like a chicken quesadilla, a steak burrito. I mean,
some beans.
I made myself absolutely miserable. I'm sitting there with our production manager, Jeff, and one of our truck drivers and somebody else. And I ate this entire plate. Everything, and then I'm like, I got to get some of this cobbler. I can't even breathe. I can't take deep breaths, literally, because I'm so full. I cannot take a full deep breath. So what do? I go over and get cobbler, a glass of milk. I mean, it was ridiculous. I'm sitting there going, I'm miserable. I'm telling them as I'm eating this. I'm like, why am I doing this? It was just so good. I came back.
Small things of ice cream like you
get it at school. Yeah. So you dump that on top of it. It was hot. It was awesome. And then I'm like, I go back to the bus. I'm like, I'm going to watch football. This was Saturday. I'm going to watch football. And then I'm sitting there absolutely just out of it. I'm like, I got to go lay down. There's nothing else I can do. And so this is like hours before the show, and I set my alarm for I think we were playing at 9. I set my alarm for 8 because I'm like, there's no way my alarm will actually go off but I'll
Yeah.
just set it just in case. So I got time to get. The damn alarm goes off. So I went in there and gorged myself, and then just went and hibernated for 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Hell, I didn't get up till then either, and I fell asleep. Missed the first quarter of the Alabama game. I get up. We're down 14-7. I couldn't get up. I tried. I waited to the absolute last second. I had to run in there and get a shower and come back and get you and go to style. I was just
not good.
Yeah, not
but
good.
I guess I say all that to say this thank you to the caterers.
Yes, it was
in
so
Corbin.
good.
It was fantastic.
But you never know, so I preemptively get us some Mexican food, so just in case if something comes along that's not we don't want or just got
there
something we
is
don't
no
want.
bad Mexican food.
No,
I mean,
and
there just ain't.
And quesadillas hold up and fajitas hold up. We can warm them back up, and me and Justin will pick on it till it's gone. So it's like, well, maybe after show's too heavy, we'll just eat this instead, or don't want pizza again or whatever. So yeah, but you just never know. So we ate thinking catering might not be good, then catering was fantastic. So yeah.
Oh, and then I forgot about this, the after show food. So we get food for after the show. So like for instance, I don't know about you, JR, but like I eat my breakfast, if you want to call it that, at like noon, and then I eat lunch at like usually at 3, 4, 5 o'clock, something like that. And then I don't eat until after the show. We all get after show food. I think this was the same show, if I'm not mistaken. They had these sliders with these like little red onions, and I don't know if it was pulled pork, and pickles, and like Swiss cheese. It was fantastic. I ate like 30 of those.
That was the first
before
night.
I go to bed. Oh, okay.
No, Huntsville.
Whatever.
That was Huntsville.
That was the night before.
Right.
Well, I ate like 30 of those.
Yeah.
And then I polished them off the next night with some wings, and I mean, it was just.
Yeah, we had wings and pizza.
And it wasn't because I was drinking. It was because like the Braves had won.
Yeah.
We were, I'm just like,
after Corbin, we had Scott Stevens and Tucker, who I meant to mention that to Parker earlier. Tucker, our bass player our drummer does the same thing. He has the Braves game playing behind him while he's playing the show every night. But
literally,
Tucker,
he was watching the game. So if you were in Corbin, I believe that night was, our drummer was literally watching the Braves game while playing the show.
Yeah, it was giving Justin updates when we would make plays. Here comes Tucker and Scott Stevens and his tour manager and his side, and then his whole band showed up. Everybody's partying, and the video guy, we're all up, and it's the last inning of the Braves.
We're just all like glued to the Braves game. We're like, all right, that's cute. All right, love you, Scott. Please move out of the.
Yeah, we're like, so I'm trying to entertain them. Y'all get back over here. Come here. Stand over here. Let me get y'all some drinks. Everybody,
it's like I do with the girls. I'm like, get out from in front of the TV.
They're all wanting to chit chat and hang out. But anyway, yeah.
Your daddy wasn't a glass maker. I promise
right.
you.
You make a better door than a window. So that was Corbin. But yeah, fantastic run this past weekend. Had a good time with all that food. Was fantastic. Justin and I will re-strategize everything for next year. This is whatever you got to do to get through this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but this weekend we're going to be live at the Hall in Hanover, Maryland on the 29th. Hopefully this comes out the day before, so y'all have time. If you hadn't already, get you some tickets. Come to the show. It's a casino show. Should be fun. Hadn't been to this one yet, but look forward to going. Then we've got Halloween, your wife's favorite holiday of the year. I'm sure that'll be fun. Yep. Next week we're scheduled. Well, I don't know for sure. We talked about. It's funny. I might have to call Enzo anyway to get Parker's number, but we're supposed to have Lee on next week on the podcast. But I've got a TBD, so I don't know if he's got a date or something going on. And I thought about this too, Just. What about get Dallas on?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Because think about it. When he came on, it was the first season, and we just used like a clip or two off of the Rodman.
Well, we had him on another one though.
Oh, did we?
After that, yeah.
Okay,
but,
that's right.
I mean, he's good to get on anytime. But the other guy I thought about as well, a guy we haven't spoken with in a while, and he had some health issues, but now is doing better. And I had a conversation with somebody recently about him, is Colt. We had Colt on in a while, and I know he went through some stuff, and so it'd be nice to check in with him too.
Yes, that's a great idea. That's going to happen. So we're going to try to get just so everybody's out there is aware and prepared for it. We're going to take the Thanksgiving Day weekend off and New Year's or Christmas week off. So, but we're going to get some more episodes in before this season wraps up. So definitely get Colt in on one of these last few episodes. Then we're going to be, let's see, November 5th, Maricopa, Arizona. That's south of Phoenix. We're going to be playing a show on the 5th, Friday night. Y'all come see us. Saturday, November 6th, Laughlin, Nevada. Going to be doing a show there. November 7th, we're going to be in St. Louis Obispo, California, out on the coast. See if California's got any crazier since last time we were there. I'm sure it has. Then we're going to stop through and do a charity golf tournament on the 8th. And then, good Lord willing, and the creek don't rise, we're going to make it to St. Augustine on the 11th. 2-day run, 40-something hours. And we've got a VIP thing before and early show. So hopefully we can make it to this show in St. Augustine on November 11th. The next show after that will be Biloxi, Mississippi, November 12th. And last but not least, St. Charles, Louisiana on November 13th. And that'll be our last show of the year, buddy.
I think Uncle Dale's coming to that one. Maybe we get him on before that show.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. We need a report from social media since I don't do a very good job at all, and yours is non-existent. Maybe we'll get Uncle Dale on since he's a TikTok star and get him to let us know what all the kids are doing these days.
Yeah, to be very clear, like I have all these social media accounts and I see what goes
right
through them. I just don't have any on my phone because I suck at them or I piss people off or whatever. So it's just.
And you got other stuff to be doing. I mean, you don't. I'm telling you, I got on TikTok a couple weeks ago after meeting Logan Webb just to try to see what just try to keep up with what's going on in the world.
Right.
You ain't missing nothing, brother. I assure you.
Crazy.
I mean, I wish I had some crap to put on my head and be an island boy right now because you don't even want to know what that means, but it's ridiculous.
I have no idea what you're even talking about.
Good. You're better off for it. You're a better man for it. And don't ever let your kids get it because the only other thing I see on there is girls doing like a 10-second dance moves wearing nothing. I'm like, I guess that's cool, but it's just random. I don't know. It's just stupid. But so anyway, maybe we'll get Uncle Dale on to let us know what's going on.
Because he was actually on that. I think he and his daughter or his wife, I forget, but were on one of those Applebee's commercials.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
With
so
the Walker
anyway,
Hayes song
maybe
and stuff.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get him on, but around that time because I know he's coming to that show, and so. But anyway, it awesome to have Parker on. Thanks again for Chad Belding coming on last week. Parker was great this week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. That's about all I got, brother.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mentioned earlier about dropping dates on people for next year, and I'm going to drop one right now because it's
and hey, we're getting close to the end now. So like we've reached the point in our calendar where we're Xing them off and going, all right, I think we have 5 shows left, maybe 6. Yep. And so it's been awesome to be back out on the road, but I can promise you because it's been so hectic and things have just not been normal from a travel perspective this year, as JR and I have talked about a lot. And so we're looking forward to having a couple of months off, recharge our batteries, and go back next year to what I presume will be much more normal, at least hopefully, than this year.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I look forward to getting back out and getting a good fresh start on it and seeing everybody again. And yeah, this is just got to charge back up. Everything needs a overhaul and a oil change. But I mentioned earlier about dropping shows next year, dates on you, even whether they're announced or even I'm supposed to. So if I get in trouble, that's fine. But I want all of our wonderful podcast listeners who listen to know as soon as this happens. The first one I got, it hits home with me because it's where I was actually born, Jackson, Mississippi, on February 18th. That's a Friday night. We're playing the Dixie National Rodeo. And, man, I don't know if that'll be our first show of the year, but it's the first one I'm going to drop on here that I know is happening. So y'all be looking out for that, Jackson, Mississippi. Let's fill it up and show out.
Yep.
And then the rest of the stuff we'll bring back home, but I want everybody to remember to use the hashtag Justin Moore Podcast. And I thought something that might be fun to do, Just before the end of the year, to make sure we get our reviews in and likes and clicks and comments and all that stuff. I'm going to continue to monitor this stuff. I'm going to go down anybody who leaves a review. Doesn't matter what the stars are or what it's about. Anybody who leaves a review for the Justin Moore Podcast on Apple iTunes, or in those type where you can review, or YouTube, I'm going to go through and I'm going to pick somebody out, and at some point before the year's out, I'm going to have you on the podcast. I'm going to jump you on the Zoom machine to tell us what you've enjoyed or disliked about the Justin Moore podcast this year, and just get to say hello on the podcast. So,
hey, and I'll take it a step further.
Go ahead.
We'll fly you and put you up at a hotel at any show we play next year, and give you a couple of tickets.
There you go. Get some tickets to a show and get to fly to a show next year too. So, if you want to get in on this action and want to be a guest spot on the Justin Moore podcast, y'all go on there and rate, like, click, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and leave reviews. And I'm going to go through before the end of the year.
Positive reviews.
Yeah, preferably positive reviews. And I'll go through before the end of the year. We'll pick one out. We'll try to link it up, make it happen, and come on the podcast and chop it up with us for a few minutes, and we'll send you to a show as well. So that'll be our little thank you to everybody for sticking it out with us for 3 seasons and watching this thing grow, and for all the support you've given the podcast. Just want to say thank you, and I thought that'd be a good way. And thanks for putting that icing on, or that ice cream on top of the cobbler.
I was thinking about it earlier, man. It's actually pretty cool that we've done it for 3 seasons. Outside of, I think, Dally, I don't think we've had a repeat guest, and we've had a ton of really great guests.
Yeah,
and I mean, Parker's another example of a guy who, there's no reason he needs to do this, but really, really cool to when you look back and you go, wow, man, we've had some really great conversations with a lot of people, and I would encourage all of you who maybe just jumped on board this season, go back and listen to all those old ones, because there's some great guests that you may not have caught at the time they came out. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a new listener, go back and listen to the early episodes, and God, watch how terrible. If you think I sound bad now, you should have heard me then. So
yeah, me passed out under my desk. I mean, there's some classics.
Oh, just jibber jabber.
Sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, but thank y'all for tuning in this week. This has been season 3, episode 35. I'm JR the Handler. That's Justin Cole Moore on Instagram and Twitter and all that fun stuff. Go follow the Justin Moore podcast on Instagram. We've got a cool page up there. We're trying to drop more content on each and every week. Like we mentioned earlier, go leave a review, like, rate, subscribe, hit the notification button, all that fun stuff. And if you leave a review, we're going to pick one lucky reviewer out to jump on the podcast before the year is over and chop it up with us, and we're going to send you to a show next year too. So thank y'all for listening. I'm JR. That's JM. Been a great day. Hope to see y'all at the show soon.
Go Braves. Chop on.
There we go. Chop on back, guys. Thank y'all. Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, today's podcast is sponsored by Bobcat Company. Check them out at bobcat.com.
For any of you first-time listeners out there, at the end of each of our episodes, I like to do a little reading out of a book I've had that I've got a lot of use out of over the years. The book is by Mr. Charlie Daniels, and the book is called Let's All Make the Day Count, The Everyday Wisdom of Charlie Daniels. Number 27, perseverance. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Romans 12:12. I read a true story once about a man who found a location where he believed with all his heart a gold deposit was located. But after digging and digging without finding anything, he got discouraged and quit, so someone else acquired the claim. The new owner dug down one more foot and found a rich vein of gold. The original owner had given up a mere 12 inches from the dream he pursued so hard. Conversely, Thomas Edison tried 10,000 different filaments for his first light bulb before he found tungsten. He refused to give up on his dream. The pages of human history are filled with the stories of those who tried and tried again, refusing to give up on a vision, experiencing failure after failure, persevering through ridicule, or burning through fortunes. They never took their eyes off the goal until one day the dream was realized and all of the disappointment fell away like morning mist. And where would the world be without such people? The adventurous sailors who discovered new continents, the stubborn scientists who spent decades finding cures for our most dreaded diseases, the intrepid inventors who brought us everything from the cotton gin to atomic power. Well, you may not find a new land or perfect a cure for cancer, but you surely have aspirations. Don't give up on your dream. If you believe in it, go for it. If you find something you believe in with all your heart, get after it. It's worth chasing until you can hold it in your hand. Progress is made by continuously putting one foot in front of the other to constantly move towards a goal. Let's all make the day count.